Hello and welcome to Woke Watch, where today we'll be looking at a woke story that was seen by people all around the world. But before we get to that, let's do a quick recap on woke ideology. So much of woke thinking, what there is of it, comes from the deluded idea that someone must be to blame, a person or persons, based on their levels of perceived privileges. Now, the people who dance the wokey cokey, they always see themselves as the oppressed, the downtrodden, the victims. Everything is the fault of someone else. But once they found something to be offended by, or rather a person to be offended by, the agenda moves to either getting that person to feel shame or to get them cancelled. So I mentioned privileges, and there are four main ones, and I have all four. I'm straight, I'm white, I'm male, and I'm cisgendered, meaning I identify with the gender I was assigned at birth. Now, of course, all those privileges do exist, but not to the level that woke people go on about it. In their way of thinking, you could have a straight white guy who's homeless with a heroin problem, and he still has an easier life than billionaire Oprah Winfrey. So the story itself centres around the Brits Music Awards, which took place last week. This year, things are a little different. The categories are no longer gendered, so there's no more best male or best female. Now it's just best artist. And it's been said this has been done to be more inclusive. Or rather, it's being done to appease a tiny minority of people, most of whom, a few years ago, we would have locked up. Now, I believe that there are two genders, but accept some people are born in the wrong bodies and need corrective surgery. But, and it's a big but, there are also people who say they're trans who aren't. And there's the whole gender non-binary bunch. These people who say they're male and female and both and neither. Now that lot need to be in the fucking happy house. So at the Brits, the Artist of the Year went to Adele. And I think we can all agree that lass can belt out a tune. But upon receiving her award, she explained that she knows why the categories have changed, but also said, "I love being a woman." At which point the woke mob went mental. And it's not the first time the anti-everything brigade have come for Adele. You may recall she used to be a very large lady, but then lost a lot of weight because, who knows, maybe she didn't want to drop dead at 40. But this angered the body positive people, and if you're unfamiliar with that, this is a movement mostly of morbidly obese people who think that being a tubby fucker, and I can say that because I am a tubby fucker, isn't bad for one's health. Just a quick heads up if anyone from the body positive movement is watching. At the moment, the Winter Olympics are on. How many plus size athletes have you seen? This isn't fucking hard. They also came for the singer when she was at the Notting Hill Carnival and arrived with her hair in braids and wearing a bikini top which I think had the Jamaican flag on it. People said she was being racist and guilty of cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation is bullshit. The idea that using a part of another person's culture is actually stealing from that culture. And I've said many times, the only way we can cure it is everyone's got to do it. So either everyone's fair game or no one is. And this will prove awkward. Because, for example, take the modern smartphone. So that's a telephone, a video camera, a television, a radio, a computer, and it connects to the internet. All of those things were invented by white men. But if I tell people they can't use their mobile phone because they're stealing from my culture, I'll get fucking locked up. And rightly so, because it's a fucking stupid idea. So the woke mob did what they always do. Take something out of context and go on social media to be outraged. Because not only had Adele had the audacity to be straight and white, she also said that she loves being a woman. Therefore, she must be a transphobe. No! Twitter erupted as hordes of overly sensitive half-wits went online to label the singer a TERF, and many others saying they wouldn't spend another cent on her music. She's British, we deal in sterling. But there's one tweet which perfectly encapsulates the way that these fucktards think. Ready? Who'd have thought that Adele was a transphobe and would use her platform for the destruction of the trans community, especially confused teenagers? The destruction of the trans community. Now, I don't think the singer said anything of the sort. She just said she loves being a woman. And that's an insight into the way that woke people at least attempt to think. She loves being a woman, ergo she must hate everyone else. Essentially, it's akin to me saying that I like a cup of tea in the morning, and some deluded woke pillock would mess it up in his own head and say, I think Disgruntled Danny just called for the genocide of anyone who drinks coffee. Being pro one thing isn't automatically being anti anything else. And by the same token, I think of myself as a dog person. I don't identify as a dog, I've not gone down that route yet. But I prefer dogs to cats, but that doesn't mean I want to put on my size 11 steel toe caps and stamp kittens to death. But there's this strange thing with woke thinking, because they always go on about inclusivity and equality. But there's one group who throughout all of human history have been more oppressed than any other. Women. And now, given that in some parts of the Western world, women are getting something approaching equality, well, this toxic, tiny minority from within the trans community, made up of men with breast implants who tuck their dicks between their legs, have decided it's open season on women. Because women are getting more rights, so they fucking want them. So a few days after the Brits, Adele gave a surprise performance at the nightclub GAY, because she's a huge gay icon. Not as huge as she used to be, she's lost all that weight. She wanted to clarify what she meant about saying that she loves being a woman. But why the fuck should she have to? She'd done nothing wrong. As usual, some overly sensitive woke keyboard warriors who suffer from being hard of fucking thinking took nothing and made something out of it. And that's the thing about wokeness. It isn't about equality. It's a combination of bitterness and jealousy peddled by the deranged. Now, if you've seen Star Wars Episode 3, you'll know that only the Sith deal in absolutes. But that's not true. It's the Sith and woke people. They have no subtlety or nuance to any of their thoughts. It's always all or nothing. So just in case there's any woke people watching, I doubt it, they'll be fucking crying by now. The 4 privileges which you bang on about all the time, let's break them down. Okay, being white, or in fact being any colour, doesn't mean you are automatically racist towards anyone who has a different skin colour to you. Being straight doesn't make someone homophobic. Being male doesn't make a man want to oppress women. Yes, there are bastards who do it, but it isn't all of us. And lastly, being cisgendered doesn't mean that someone is anti-fucking trans. Is it just me, or is all of that really easy to understand? Now, of course, woke people will have moved on to whatever it is they're screaming about this week. But something that strikes me is that when Adele said she loved being a woman, there were people who took that to mean she must hate trans people. To see hatred where there is none, that says fucking more about them than it does about her. As ever, thanks for watching.